and our country is founded on freedom, and it instead of religious dogma, is what outweighs that.
Yeah,
So
who
for
cares?
instance,
Who cares
freedom
what
of
the
speech.
well? Who cares what the country's founded on?
No, no, no.
We're
What I'm
having
saying
a
is
we're
freedom
having
of
an
speech
argument.
still
Just
matters,
wait a
even though
second.
people
Hang on.
can say mean
I
things,
want to
right?
know.
You like your freedom to gun. Well, you said I could have a wild.
Andrew Wilson demolishes OnlyFans girl, where we have here Andrew Wilson debating an OnlyFans girl who goes by the name of Jasmine when it comes to the argument against Christian morality. Now, it's interesting that, we have these two here, Andrew Wilson and this girl from OF, where Andrew Wilson starts off by explaining his position of his faith and the girl Jasmine her position. And by the time Andrew Wilson is done, he and Jasmine he has basically Jasmine making this particular move and everything, which is interesting and yet shocking. So let's go ahead and get into this debate between Andrew Wilson and this girl from OF. If you enjoyed what's being shared in this video, go ahead and smash the like button, share the video for our Crossroads Media, and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell notification so that way you're notified of future uploads and updates. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
Assume I came to the Christian worldview of ethics absent the belief in God. I believe everything they believe in regard to morals, but just don't accept that God is real. Jasmine, on the other hand, says the entirety of all human morality is adjudicated by her preferences, no different than I do in this hypothetical scenario. How do we determine who is right? We would have to go by utility or consequences. So I would like Jasmine to explain how a mother of 3 has less utility to society than an OnlyFans prostitute who has sex on Twitter for money. How does it maximize utility or give good consequences to allow incest? How is it maximum utility to allow necrophilia? And most importantly, how would my Christian nationalist society give bad outcomes by simply outlawing all of these things, all of them? What's more, how does society end up being worse consequentially off under authoritarianism, not allowing these entitlements? Also, why would it be immoral for Christians to be in power under a theocratic moral foundation instead of a secularist foundation of morality? Ultimately, Jasmine will agree with the universal morality of Christianity, but only take exceptions to the fact they won't promote degeneracy, which ultimately is all she wants rights for, degeneracy. She won't take issue for our morality on murder, charity, chastity, decency, virtue, duty, none of it. She'll only be able to make the case that she doesn't want the world I postulate because it doesn't allow for her brand of degeneracy. So with that, I yield my opening time, and I'm happy to get into the debate.
Just for the record, PWF is fully on board with fucking your sister if your sister is hot. Okay, anyway, let's get into the open.
First off, what the heck was that guy who's moderating doing and saying and stuff? Wait, what? 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 If he's a moderator of any debate, I don't want to watch that at all. That's just weird and sick.
Panel portion, so have at it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so I just want to say that I don't think that rights are rights if they just, my point isn't that we should only have rights when they have no harm. Most of the rights that we have some harm associated with it, but that freedom, and our country is founded on freedom, and it instead of religious dogma, is what outweighs that.
Yeah,
so
who
for
cares?
instance,
Who cares what the
speech,
who cares what the country's founded on?
No.
We're having an argument.
Still matters,
Just wait a
even
second.
though people
Hang on.
can say mean things.
I want to know.
You like your freedom to gun. Well, you said I could have a while to respond. You just went on.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Go ahead. That's fair.
10 seconds. And then you also say, like, so for instance, I assume you really like your right to own guns. Well, guns also harm people. Now, I believe in your right to the Second Amendment. And I believe that you having that right outweighs that your whatever harm that guns bring about, at least when it comes to generally the ownership of guns. I think Andrew's main thing is that he believes that because he believes in an objective morality, which even that, the only reason you believe that your God is better than other gods is only because of your subjective beliefs. At the end of the day, your morality is pretty much just as subjective as mine. The only reason someone would choose one religious morality over another is they feel that they has a better moral framework for objective truth. If you think Christianity has a better moral framework than Islam, you need a moral basis on which to judge that. And
Hang
it
on,
can't be
Jasmine.
the religion itself.
I just want to correct this so that she understands. I've granted this worldview is true. I'm assuming that I came to the Christian ethics that I have under a secularist purview, meaning that I'm not saying that it's based on a God or anything else. I'm agreeing with you. I came to it completely subjectively. Why am I wrong and you're right?
So But the framework you want to hold up is Christian. You want
yes,
it
but
to
I
be
came
you
to
want our
it
country to be a
right.
theocracy.
So that's why I need to explain this to you. Right? Assume that these are. I came to the same exact worldview that I hold right now, just absent God through secularism. So I reject your notion of rights, and I reject your notion of entitlements. I reject your notion of everything. Okay. But I'm not basing anything on God. I'm basing it purely off of a subjective standard for the purpose of this thought experiment, meaning I came to all of these views through a secular ethos. Why am I wrong and you're right?
I would say you're wrong and I'm right, because at least in this country, your worldview wants to alter our history, our values, our national identity. I just gave you some reasons that secular countries tend to fare off worse than countries that are run by a religious doctrine as the law of the land. And I think
Jasmine, don't you
America,
mean-
one of the reasons.
I think you're trying to say better, right? Not worse. Secular.
Yeah. Sorry if I misspoke, but I would say that, like, if you don't like America, if you don't like the freedoms that we have,
Then get out,
okay,
right?
I just do.
Then get out. If you don't like it, then
I mean,
get out.
honestly, yeah, I'm really proud to live here. So if you're basically saying that America's freedoms that they grant us are bad, and I'm saying when I look at the world and I look at what freedoms other people don't have, like the countries my parents came from, while we have those rights here, I look at this as a good. And I'm happy to live here.
So
if you
let's back
to live
up.
there, I think that's
so
true.
so hang on, let's back up, because you're not actually responding to this. I'm gonna tell it to you again. I'm assuming for a second in this hypothetical that I have come to the worldview that I hold absent a God, meaning it's just purely secular in nature. Okay. And I hold all the same values I do, but I don't base any of them on some murderousness sky daddy, as you would put it, right? Why would those values be wrong and your values would be right if we're both subjectivists?
I mean, I'm not saying that your views are objectively wrong and mine are objectively
Then if
right.
my views are not objectively wrong, then me advocating for Christian nationalism and completely repealing everything in the United States to make it format around Christian values under a secular purview would be fine.
So yeah, if you want to sit here on the internet and argue with a porn star about a revolution that you want to have on the internet, go for it. Good.
I mean, he's not necessarily trying to start a revolution. I mean, the revolutions has begun ever since he became famous. I mean, the fact of the matter is that a nation ran without God would not even survive, point blank, period. Because of the fact of the matter is that, and we've seen this like in past millennia, that people that like got further away from God, the country turned further away from God and everything, where the morals and morality basically is like opinionated definition rather than a fact. But then again, who am I to judge? I'm just a lowly Christian human being.
Luck.
So
right?
you're
Our
conceding.
Constitution has lasted this long for a reason.
So you're conceding.
I just gave you. I'm saying that you don't have an objective morality and I don't have an objective.
You're right.
Morality.
So
we're
if
on the same
so
page.
if it's true that we're just both coming at this from two different subjective worldviews, and you claim that mine is just as valid as yours, what is your argument for why it is that I should not impose my version of this on society and should instead yield to yours?
I'm not saying you shouldn't. You can advocate for it. That's what freedom of speech is. You can sit on the internet, you can have your channel, you can advocate for it. But our Constitution and our branches of government are this way, and they've been this way for a while. Now, there's little differences. Supreme Court may interpret the First Amendment in different ways, but if you want to get rid of the First Amendment, if you want to get rid of our entire country, America as it is, you have the right to try to sit there and convince people to do that.
Yeah, and
Go
you
for
don't
it.
think
I
that,
don't have a
but
problem with
here's
that.
the
I just
crux.
think
Here's
it
the
would be
crux.
a bad idea. And
So
the
you say I
reason
don't
think
have
it would be
a
bad
problem with
idea-
that. You're saying it's not immoral to do, so you have no objection to people doing it.
I have no objection to people trying to, I think just like our founding fathers decided to make this country based off reason, debate, winning in the marketplace of ideas. I do think that's the way to do that. So if you want to have a revolution with guns and overthrow people, I don't think that's good, but I can't sit here and stop you from trying to do it unless you're doing something, illegal, and then, the power.
So then, so then you have no moral objection to it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. And if we did end up, hang on, stop. Let me finish. So since you have no moral objection to this, since you have no argument against this, since you don't think that it's wrong for Christian nationalists to advocate for this, since you don't think it's wrong for us to go ahead and reform the entire nation under whatever purview that we want, what in the world is your argument to keep the status quo then? So I give you this hypothetical experiment.
This is interesting because she never answers the question of Andrew Wilson. Now, Andrew Wilson did lay his groundwork game out there where basically he explained his positions on his faith. And then, you know, he also reminds Jasmine of her position. By the time Andrew Wilson is finished, he basically the corn star right there, if you will, decides to go ahead and basically admit that, you know, his point about Christian nationalism and stuff is valid. But the fact of the matter is that even though she doesn't support it, she still didn't have a clear argument or even a position about it. And Andrew Wilson, as usual, stated his position loud and clearly. But the thing is that Andrew Wilson is still trying to get her to explain herself and her position, but she doesn't. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have on this particular topic. If you enjoyed what's shared in this video and as well as all the content I make, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.